These are the craziest conspiracy theories that did not slip past Penguinz0's sarcastic judgment, starting with the Wayfair conspiracy, which suggested that the shopping platform was being used for child trafficking, and Charlie had to describe it as such.
I haven't been this interested in a conspiracy theory since the Berenstein Bears versus the Berenstein Bears multiversal collapse theory. This is an incredible conspiracy theory and I can't wait to share it with all of you and present my findings. Spoiler alert, this is a pretty fucking wacky one. This one's like believing in reptilians or believing that Jesus Christ died because of Fortnite or something. This one is fucking insane.
For those unfamiliar, Wayfair is an e-commerce company that primarily sells home goods, ranging from furniture, lighting, and other home improvement products. And although it looks and functions exactly like every other e-commerce platform, one tweet sparked the bizarre conspiracy theory that this website might also be functioning as a child trafficking front on the side. Quoted, the tweet wrote, "What's with these storage cabinets? Extremely high prices. All listed with girls' names in identical units selling for different amounts." It only gained a little traction at first, but a month later, discussion about it was reignited on a Reddit discussion group called Our Conspiracy, and it blew completely out of hand. Posts supporting the conspiracy popped up one after the other, with captions often being along the lines of, "Wayfair sells furniture for $12,000 plus that are named after missing children." These conspiracy theorists conducted their own individual investigations, pointing out that the girl-like names of random item listings. But while Charlie initially found these prices to be weird as well, a little investigation showed how off-base these theories were.
And when I first heard it, I was like, yeah, it's kind of fucking weird, right? Like, why are these cabinets so expensive? And a pillow? I'm not paying $10,000 for a pillow unless it's coming with 15 strippers or something and a nice giant fucking birthday cake. I mean, why is it worth $10,000? And then I decided to look into it today, and it goes deep. This is a fucking rabbit hole shit. Typically supposed to be affordable things, but recently people noticed that there's this extremely expensive shit like this here that has a name that matched a missing person. Or so they thought. It turns out the majority of the people that they've used in their examples in this conspiracy are children that have been found, and a lot of these kids, they themselves have come forward and said, hey, look, I'm not actually missing.
And then he gonna put his little, why is your caption even that? That don't even make sense. If you post them motherfuckers who actually missing, you trying to get motherfuckers to share the shit, what are y'all talking about? Y'all all sound stupid talking about why am I mad? Because I'm not missing. Out of here.
Now, a lot of people in the comments on Twitter and on Instagram that I've seen were actually attacking the girl in the video I just showed you, saying that she must be in on it. You know, she must have just broken out of the cabinet she was sold in and is being forced at gunpoint to say these things, which is really weird to just start attacking her for being upset that people are perpetuating the idea that she was literally sold into sex slavery. And it's not just this girl that was revealed to not be missing, nor has ever been, like, sold in a cabinet. A lot of the popular pictures that were circulating, you could look up those kids and then find stories about when they were found earlier. Like, they were never in a Wayfair, you know, shipment facility or anything like that, like this kid here. But let's just use some common sense here. I believe the statistic is 1,250 missing kids are reported every day. 500,000 every year. Something like that, in that general ballpark. That's a lot of fucking names. That's a ton of fucking names. You could probably find some like Xbox Live gamertag level names in a sample size that big. Like fucking X Shadow Slayer went missing a year ago. And you could find like an X Shadow Slayer Wayfair pillow that's $9,000, I bet. It's a lot of names is what I'm saying. So it's not impossible that these companies chose a random name that happened to correspond to someone who went missing.
He eventually revealed the logical reason behind these absurdly high prices as well to completely disprove the conspiracy.
A lot of resellers, what they'll do, when the item is out of stock, they jack the price up to an absurd level that they know nobody's going to try and buy, so that way they can keep it listed, as opposed to saying it's out of stock and taking it off listing. They jack the price up to hold its spot until it's back in stock, and then they drop it back down. That's the tactic I saw a lot of people talking about that actually use Wayfair. That's what they were saying is commonly done there. I think that's a dumb practice, and Wayfair themselves have cracked down on it, it seems. Wayfair's statement says, you know, that obviously it's all wrong, but we did take these down because the names and the pictures don't exactly match why they're as expensive as they are, and the practices or some shit like that. It wasn't a great statement that did nothing to help their case in it being false. it just made it even more confusing because they just took the shit down, which made a lot of people believe that Wayfair was admitting guilt and hiding something. But according to a lot of people that use Wayfair, it's not something uncommon where they jack this price up to a point where no one's going to buy it just so they can hold their listing. And that does make sense. It makes a lot more sense than fucking pedophiles using Wayfair to sex traffic children. Are there sex trafficking rings from like extremely wealthy, powerful people? Abso-fucking-lutely. Yeah, there's a ton of evidence to point to that. But I highly doubt they're operating through Wayfair. That's like saying these people are using, fucking Twitch to start trafficking children through an XQC chat. It doesn't make any sense. Why would they be using something like that to do some shit like that? They'd be using the dark web or something. They wouldn't be going on fucking Wayfair just in the public's eye right under their nose like some kind of comical supervillain trying to fool everyone by doing everything in broad daylight. That just wouldn't happen. These are public listings. Someone could have accidentally ordered one of these expensive items. What's going to happen? They buy this cabinet and then all of a sudden they have a kid shipped to them. They open the box and then bang, a kid pops out and they're just fucking jump scared. Oh, whoa. Where's my cabinet? That's just not how it would happen.
And as a final layer of proof, he even tried to buy one of these ridiculously expensive cabinets himself, only to be disappointed.
In fact, I actually tried to test this myself. I went on Wayfair with every intention of buying one of those $10,000 pillows that matched the name of a missing kid, and I was like, shit, this is going to be expensive as fuck. I'm either going to get a terrible pillow, or I'm going to save a kid's life. It's worth it. But I couldn't place the order because the fucking item didn't exist, which made me more convinced that yes, this is probably just a common practice where when the item isn't in stock and it's not there, they just jack the price up hoping nobody places an order or tries to, and wait until it's back in stock to drop it back down just so they don't lose listing.
Despite these counter-arguments, though, the conspiracy theorist claims even found a way to link Tom Hanks to this Wayfair trafficking conspiracy.
Tom Hanks has been roped into all of this because of one old Instagram post. This right here. People, Reddit detectives and Twitter experts, the analysts, they were able to crack the code. They realized if you type in a lot of the item numbers onto a Russian search engine called Yandex, it brought up pictures of children. So if you typed in SRC USA and a bunch of numbers, it brings up pictures of children on a Russian search engine. So they speculated these were pictures of the kids that were being sold in those cabinets, or being sold with the cabinets. It varies depending on who you talk to on whether or not the kids were actually stuffed in the furniture or just came with it or something. It's, as like some kind of package deal, like batteries included or something. It varies on who you talk to, but that was the speculation. You type in this shit, you do it on the Yandex, and you get an image of what you're buying or some shit.
But obviously, this writing on the pavement ended up just being a standard utility-related marketing.
You see, SRC USA is construction utility code for Underground Service Alert. It's to let other workers know that, hey, at this location, with these, the white brackets in chalk there you can see, there is something that runs underneath the pavement, whether it be a power line, cable, water, it doesn't matter. There's something running underneath there, so just be aware. You can find this shit marked on streets all over the place. It's not something unique to Tom Hanks. I don't think he went out there with sidewalk chalk and wrote SRC USA to brag and then threw a glove on the ground. It's a stupid fucking picture. It's a weird, like, creepy little picture. The caption was like, give me a high five or something. I don't know. It's a weird picture. You're not going to argue that. But that right there is just an extremely common thing that you can see probably outside of your own house right now if you want to experiment. It's nothing unusual because it's actual just construction utility code.
However, surprisingly, the same conspiracy is still circulating 6 years after it first appeared and was quickly debunked. In 2026, a Redditor in the Our Conspiracy thread wrote that the Wayfair trafficking story looks to be true, after discovering that Jeffrey Epstein's assistant once bought a single unlabeled $8,453 item from Wayfair. To this, one conspiracy theorist commented, "All those who stated we are crazy for believing this the last several years, the truth most definitely hurts." While others once again tried to fuel the fire, suggesting other ways to investigate with comments like, "Anybody here work at Wayfair? There's a transaction ID, maybe you could tell us what was purchased." But speaking of conspiracies, the fake Jim Carrey or celebrity clone theory has easily been one of the most talked about in recent months, suggesting that the man who received an award at the Cesar Awards was only a doppelganger or even a clone. This clone theory was so widespread that even entertainment outlets like Entertainment Tonight had to address it. and most major news media platforms had to feature it as well. And of course, a conspiracy of such caliber did not escape Charlie's radar.
Goodness gracious, this whole fake Jim Carrey body double replacement thing is really gone kinda bonkers, huh? So, Jim Carrey recently accepted an award, a very big, prestigious award in France, and while giving an interview, people were quick to notice that his appearance looked very different. Specifically, his face just seemed very off compared to how it had always looked. And instead of going with the obvious, sane explanation of bad Botox and cosmetic work and plastic surgery like everyone in Hollywood seems to do, and there are some botched surgeries that celebrities get that make them look like fucking facial animations from 007 GoldenEye on the N64. Instead of using like the logical explanation, people ran with something a little more extreme, that he had been replaced. They had fucking killed him, the deep state took him out back behind the barn and put him down because he was outspoken about like the establishment and stuff and how like evil and rotten Hollywood is, and he's talked about it quite a bit. So they thought, you know, maybe they came in there and fucking Dr. Robotnik took care of him and now impersonates him here. So they went with this like body double theory, and then a makeup artist named Alexis Stone poured gasoline on that fire.
The Alexis Stone that Charlie mentioned is a celebrity makeup artist with 1.4 million followers on Instagram, known for his realistic and almost uncanny transformations as celebrities or famous figures, with his most popular imitation being that of the Mona Lisa and Madonna. So when he, amid this Jim Carrey is a clone controversy, posted Alexis Stone as Jim Carrey in Paris, along with a series of images that tried to imply he was the one at the award show, thousands of people took that as the truth, with one even writing, "It was already posted that Alexis did it, and he's not someone who'd prank about his work." When everyone doubted that it isn't Jim, the next day Alexis posted, and then a few hours later, the publicist says it's the real Jim. They can't hide the truth anymore. But like most people, Charlie had a completely different opinion about this post.
It was a big, you know, pulling the wool over everyone's eyes moment, and then even posted a picture of the mask that was supposed to be the irrefutable proof in the pudding, except this mask isn't real. It's an AI-generated image. It's fucking clearly AI. But it didn't matter. That was enough for people to start taking the victory lap. We knew it! It wasn't Jim Carrey all along! Now we can only pray that he's safe. And we can only, with our fingers crossed and a banana squeezed deep between our butt cheeks, hope that Jim Carrey hasn't had his throat slit. It's like, oh, I mean, I guess, I don't know why you would be so willing to just accept what I believe is pretty obviously an AI-generated picture of the mask. And also, if this really was an Alexis Stone stunt, it would be easily provable by having footage behind the scenes or pictures behind the scenes, but instead the only proof was 2 photos of Jim Carrey at the event and then this AI mask, and people were like, I knew it.
Charlie then covered how Jim Carrey's rep and even the César Awards chief had to address these rumors, with a rep saying, Jim Carrey attended the César Awards, where he accepted his honorary César Award, while the awards show chief was more dismissive about the matter, only commenting, "For me, it's a non-issue. Just remember his generosity, his kindness, his benevolence, his elegance." Jim Carrey has not personally addressed this rumor about his drastic appearance change, but Penguinz0 had that area covered, as he had a lot to say about the nonsense surrounding it, just because Jim Carrey looked different.
It really was Jim Carrey. So, the truth of the matter was, he just got bad plastic surgery done. He's had some bad Botox injected there, like countless other Hollywood celebrities. It's not uncommon or unusual. This shit happens all the time. I can't wrap my head around why this one was so big. I guess because it is so like uncanny, and Jim Carrey has been like outspoken about like Hollywood norms and stuff. I guess it is odd that he of all people would have work done like that, especially like very noticeable work. That is peculiar, but it is something that happens in Hollywood all the time.
Charlie also couldn't help but mock people who posted before and after photos that were shocked about the differences in how the celebrity looked then and now, saying,
"Were mind-boggling. I saw a viral post about a picture of Jim Carrey from 2006 versus Jim Carrey in 2026 saying, 'What happened? This can't be the same guy.'" I was like, brother, what the fuck did you just blow in from stupid? It's been 20 years. He's kind of old now. He's getting older. And now he's like getting plastic surgery done. So yeah, he looks different. But even if he didn't have any work done, he's not going to look the same as he did 20 years ago. Nobody does. Like, what the fuck is happening? But for something like this Jim Carrey situation, I think it's just so obviously Botox, because we've seen that kind of thing before where someone gets work done and it looks like they're fucking cell shit out of Borderlands or something, right? Like, it does happen. And the way he was like talking and emoting during the interviews, there's no way a mask could do that. There's just absolutely no way. But, you know, maybe you're not convinced. Maybe you think that Jim Carrey's rep and the award organizer are in on the scheme from the nefarious puppet masters pulling the strings trying to convince you that this is Jim Carrey when it's not. You know, that's your prerogative at the end of the day.
But while this Jim Carrey conspiracy did not fool Charlie for a second, there was actually a conspiracy back in 2023 that Penguinz0 almost believed to be true. That the odd, goofy-looking sun bear in a zoo was actually a human being inside a suit. Charlie first reacted to it while on stream, where he thought this was likely a man, not an actual bear.
You hear about the Chinese zoo denying the claim that one of their bears is a man in a bear costume? And I think it's pretty obvious that this is a man in a bear costume. Like, this is like Hank Hill level ass. Shit looks like a pack of hot dogs. No bear has a tuchus like this. That's definitely a man in a bear costume.
And of course, he wasn't the only one. At first glance, many hopped on this conspiracy, writing, "You can't convince me that this is a real bear." And, "The head looks real, but I have no idea about the rest." Others even admitted that they needed to replay the video over and over again just to try and debunk it, stating, "I replayed this video like 20 times now to know for certain whether it was real or not." In fact, this theory was so widespread that the zoo itself had to deny the allegations that their star attraction was a man in a sun bear costume. After a bit of research though, Charlie did come to the realization that sun bears, despite their incredibly odd skin folds, must simply look like that. Though he still couldn't stop laughing about how these species have evolved over time.
Apparently sun bears look like that? What the f is a sun bear? The folds help protect the bears from predators as the looseness allows the bear to turn around in their skin and fight back if a large animal like a tiger were to get a hold of them. You're telling me there's an evolutionary purpose to all these fucking ass folds? It's like the most incomprehensibly smart thing ever, but at the same time super fucking stupid with the solutions that it finds. How are we gonna protect us? Just give it a lot of skin, so that way if something bites our ass, we can move around a little bit.
By the time he covered this on his Penguinz0 channel, he was fairly confident that this was in fact a bear and not a man. But Charlie, being himself, played around with the idea of why a zoo might even hire a man to imitate a bear.
It is a real sun bear from everything I can tell. You know, of course, you know, I'm not a fucking zoologist here. I can't say beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's a sun bear for sure and not a man in a bear costume, but based on everything that I read and everything I researched, it's most likely a real sun bear. But I really love to suspend disbelief for a moment here and play with the idea that it's actually a man in a bear costume. What would be the goal? Let's start looking at this in a philosophical way and start speculating. If it is a man in a bear costume, or if it was a man in a bear costume, what could they possibly gain from that? Well, let's picture a dystopia where most animals are extinct, right? That's very bad for business at zoos. So, what if they spent a lot of resources and a lot of time developing very convincing costumes that look realistic enough to fool us into thinking we're looking at the legitimate species. So when there's no animals left, they can still fill zoo exhibits with, you know, people in costumes that'll work part-time when the zoo's open and then, you know, go home. They'll clock in, clock out in their costume, right? All of that, and the costumes are really convincing, and maybe there's animatronic components to it, and this was their first attempt at trying to slip it in there to see if they were at a point where they could fool us with the costume. I don't think that's the case, but what if? What if it was? This was their first foray into like a alpha test, you know, seeing if the prototype's good enough to get people speculating on if it's a real bear or not, or if it's convincing enough that everyone assumes it's just a real sun bear. You know, it's just an interesting thought experiment. What could be the goal if it is a man in a bear costume? And that's the only conclusion I can come up with. Of course, it is not a man in a bear costume. It is most likely a very real sun bear. But who knows? You can't trust anyone. Not even bears. So,
but while this conspiracy was an almost wholesome one that only lived for a day or two, Charlie also explored an absurd theory that has persisted for centuries and this time was even being advertised by someone relatively famous. In his video BuzzFeed Flat Earth, Charlie covered BuzzFeed Blue's Why I Think the Earth is Flat video. And within the first minute, Charlie was pretty clear about his opinions about both BuzzFeed and flat earthers.
Flat earthers, it's low-hanging fruit. It's by far the easiest group to criticize, insult, poke fun at, etc. There's really nothing to be proud of. You're not a big man for doing it or anything, but I'm still going to do just that because I find the flat earthers to be the most fascinating and entertaining group of crowmen that are currently stumbling through this planet of ours. And today I just so happen to be watching a BuzzFeed video. I know it's almost as bad as believing in Flat Earth itself just by watching BuzzFeed, but this was beautiful because it was a collision of two worlds here. Flat Earth and BuzzFeed, some of the worst shit there is. And it was great because they have a staff member who believes in Flat Earth and went about why he believes in it and such. And
now, Charlie did say he wasn't too sure whether this was satirical or serious, stating,
"This whole video screams satire, but the problem is they commit way too hard to the role, and it makes it very hard to discern whether or not it should be taken seriously. Based on what I've learned about BuzzFeed Blue, and more in particular the cast here and the purpose, it was meant to just be an over-the-top, entertaining, but still thought-provoking piece that tries to convince you that the Earth is flat. I really am not 100% sure, but A, it's not entertaining. The humor just comes because this guy's wearing a fake mustache and doing exaggerated facial expressions. Wow, that's fucking clever. And B, they focus very hard on what flat earthers actually believe in an attempt to convince you it could be flat, so it's just super fucking hard to know for sure if it's satire or not. I'm gonna treat it as though it's not satire because it's just..."
But the bottom line was, Ned in this video was essentially playing the role of a flat earther and presenting their theories, which, with his whole heart, Charlie expressed his disagreement and discontent for. Even when Ned was just introducing the theory, Charlie quickly pushed back, saying it's not even a theory itself.
A lot of people would have you believe the Earth is round. Well, we'll see. What is the flat Earth theory? Well,
it's actually not a theory at all. In fact, it's an objectively, blatantly fucking wrong idea.
Ned proceeded with explaining how flat earthers like him view the world as, flattening a globe model to better fit their perspective. And here's what Charlie had to comment.
One thing I've noticed in every flat earth video I've ever seen, they all use children's toys to show that the earth is flat and convince you that it's flat. So at least they can understand their audience that it's just a bunch of 6-year-old brains inside the body of greasy men and unattractive women.
But apart from his personal opinions about this theory, Charlie did eventually get logical about how every theory that BuzzFeed was presenting had already been debunked one way or another. Ned explained the 19th century Bedford level experiment, which laid the foundation of the Flat Earth Society. And in a nutshell, it pretty much theorized that if a boat 6 miles away remained fully visible to a telescope 8 inches above the water, it would prove that the Earth is flat. Because the theory argued that if the Earth were a sphere, the 3-foot-high mast should have been below the line of sight. Right away, Charlie laid out the facts that have long debunked this theory.
Bedford level experiment, or at least as far as BuzzFeed was willing to research into it. I like how he drew a little penis there to represent the man looking through the telescope, but it's a shitty experiment that was immediately debunked even during its time. The reason you could see the boat from one end to the other is due to atmospheric refraction. A man named Wallace actually set up discs along the same canal and showed that the middle disc is higher than the other disc because of the curvature. Usually I wouldn't even bother talking about how it was debunked, but because of all these soft micro in hand flat earthers using the Bedford level experiment to become a flat earther, I thought it was at least necessary. And it's fucking laughable because it shows they did no research of their own, and it'd be as if a man turns to Scientology because he watched an episode of Gurren Lagann. It's just fucking dumb.
Commenters also pointed out how simple common sense would reveal the flaws of this experiment, writing comments like, "One common theme I've noticed with the flat earther movement is that they absolutely do not understand just how big the planet is in comparison to themselves. 6 miles might as well be an inch." And All flat earthers always think that the earth is the size of a hill, like we're supposed to see a curve from the ground. But the flat earth video just goes even dumber from here. Ned created this clay model of what flat earthers think the earth looks like, featuring ice walls which are supposed to be Antarctica.
Surrounds the earth and keeps the water in between the ice mass, just like this. Look at that. These are the principles of the Flat Earth Society.
In stating that
it is actually suggested that the sun spins around the earth. The seasons changing when the sun is closer and further from the earth.
But there was one flat earther belief that Charlie just could not stand hearing.
Gravity is a hoax. We all stay here, not because of gravity, but because the earth and the sun are constantly and ever moving upward.
Well, you sold yet, asshole. Gravity is a fucking fib. The universe, the sun, everything bends and moves around the earth because the earth is the protagonist of the universe's manga. Open your fucking eyes, you goddamn troglodytes.
Speaking of conspiracies that have always stood the test of time, Charlie also covered yet another failed rapture prediction that happened in September of 2025, which he couldn't help but mock on the very day it was supposed to happen.
We did it. We made it. We survived the rapture. Today, it was prophesized by one guy and latched onto by a lot of TikTok that a lot of people were going to be raptured today. Basically, if you don't know what the rapture is, it's everyone getting pulled by the server admin. So Jesus taking all of the believers and getting them off of the doomed planet.
And while this conspiracy made Charlie laugh, there were literally dozens of TikTokers who quit their jobs and even gave their children away, wholeheartedly expecting they were about to fly into heaven for being faithful.
But yeah, he said he's coming to Earth again on like the 23rd. What's crazy is when it doesn't happen, people will still trust him.
Charlie didn't quite go into great lengths about what these devout believers did to quote-unquote prepare for their departure, but there were plenty of disturbing cases of people willing to upend their lives several days before. Some sold their car.
Sold his entire car.
Guys, I'm saying goodbye to my car. I've had for 5 years.
Several quit their jobs.
Oh, I am working my last shift right now.
And plenty of TikTokers were kindly making information cards for the people who could have been left behind by the rapture.
Some people have these little cards, but this is a little rapture card. And so this is like a little instruction card that tells what happened, why it happened, and what to do next.
Charlie first heard about this rapture on stream and was immediately hooked on where this new but unsurprising prediction came from this time around.
Pre-rapture stream. So what is this hoopla about a rapture? I feel like I hear this maybe once every couple of years, where there's like a big movement about like the rapture is coming on this day, and then that day comes and it never happens, and then people just pretend they weren't going around talking about the rapture. The latest wave of rapture speculation started with a June 16 episode of Sint Twins podcast featuring South African pastor Joshua Malekela. In the video, he claims he had a vision in which he was called into heaven and Jesus told him he was returning on September 23rd and 24th. Offered no biblical citations or theological arguments, just the date. Really? It all comes from that?
He then proceeded to watch the clip of the prediction being revealed for the first time, and just couldn't make any sense of it.
Predictions.
The rapture is upon us. Whether you are ready or not, God took me to see the future, and then he brought me back.
But why? Why would he do that? This is the one thing that I always find to be so blasphemous. When people make a claim like that, to me that just feels like someone that's using Christianity for their own exploitative purposes. I can't stand when people do that. Like, I know it gets made of like a mockery and stuff, but I just find it to just be so in poor taste.
And to the people who are listening, please pay attention to what I'm going to say. He says to me, on the 23rd and the 24th, 2025, I will come to take my church.
There's a date.
There is a date.
Are there other people who have also said the same thing to confirm what you have said?
No. No, Jesus took him. He's very special. That's the chosen one.
Someone in Moist Critical's livestream commented on how this entire prediction goes against the Bible, as the rapture is supposed to be completely unknown to everyone, And not only did Charlie agree, but he also pointed out how rapture predictions never seem to end, when none of them make sense logically, and even fail on a faith-based level.
For no one shall know the day except for the Father. It's like, have they not read it at all? True. And that was a point a lot of people made when Harold Camping made the same prediction back in 2011. It lines up with a big prophecy also. And that happens every time. It's like people forgot this is not the first rapture prediction even in the last 8 months. I remember we did this like 8 months ago where like everyone was kind of freaking out on Reddit about like the end times are here, the red heifer has arrived, as prophesied in the Bible. And then it turns out red heifer, like that is just a very common thing. So there's always going to be coincidences. Always. It doesn't indicate the end times, and it certainly doesn't indicate that just a random pastor got pulled up by Jesus, like had his spirit yanked out of his body, like fucking Doctor Strange pushed it out of him, just to inform him that he is coming to rapture on September 23rd.
And of course, Charlie just perfectly articulated what most thinking people felt about this rapture. It was a completely absurd idea. But since this conspiracy was equally entertaining as it was seen as stupid, satirical posts about it piled up endlessly, with one writing, "People are donating assets because of this rapture thing? Guys, can I have a Ford Raptor?" And someone joking about how, "We should all collectively pretend like we witnessed the rapture on Tuesday and make them think they got left behind." Though the ones who were able to best prank on the rapture hype at the time were undisputedly the trumpet players who played their instruments so their neighbors would start to think that the rapture was actually coming. Now, obviously the rapture didn't happen, but Charlie had one last thing to say about these repeatedly resurfacing rapture predictions.
Before ending the video, there is just one other thing I want to mention when it comes to these predictions. I just don't understand it. Because pastors like this guy 100% have to know that they're pulling it out of their ass. Like, even if you had a dream about it, like, you'd have to realize that that's not the most, like, concrete. You'd have to realize there's an extremely good chance it's not going to happen. So what is the plan when it doesn't? Like, do you just, like, hope people don't care? It's like, oh, he was wrong. Doesn't matter. He's still a very, like, super reliable pastor. The Lord definitely speaks through him, even though he got the rapture completely wrong. Maybe he was just playing a prank on him. Like, I just don't get it. Because you have to know it is most likely not going to happen. You're just spitballing nonsense. I really don't get it. And I even less understand people that believe it. I really don't. Because if you are a follower of the Word of God, you would have to realize that no man would ever be able to predict when the rapture would happen. It is literally written in the Bible. So what you are saying is, a pastor like this is somehow more powerful than the Word of God, that he is able to somehow predict it, because Jesus, for some reason, chose him because he had a really high KD in Fortnite or whatever. It just doesn't add up. And I'm getting really fucking tired of all of these rapture predictions. I really am. It is so tiresome. This one actually kind of, like, irked me quite a bit, because it's just so ridiculous. This one has even less to go on than the previous rapture predictions.
And just like Charlie never understood how people could believe rapture predictions, he could also not fathom how people thought that one TikTok video was actually proof that giants existed.
This week I saw something so baffling that it's really genuinely making me question if the human brain is devolving, becoming smoother, less wrinkles. It's the case of the TikTok giant. For those that don't know, there was a TikTok creator who filmed a giant, mysterious figure on top of a mountain. Was it Sasquatch? Was it the Loch Ness Monster? Perhaps Goatman? No, he claimed that he had seen a giant. And TikTok absolutely ate that up. They devoured it like it was a full course of spaghetti and meatballs. Not only TikTok though, it then expanded to Twitter, where even more people started to believe that they had just seen irrefutable proof of a giant, because there was something on top of a mountain that was big. This whole thing is like a child believing the tooth fairy's real because when they put their tooth under their pillow, there's a quarter there. It is easily debunked and has been multiple times now, but then they just throw away the truth that's facing them because they prefer to live in the magic of there being giants walking amongst us here. It's a beautiful delusion, albeit very sad too, because people are also convinced that not only was this proof of a giant, it's proof that the CIA murdered the guy for filming the giant.
Here's the video that Charlie was referring to.
What is it? It's a person, dude. No, seriously, pull over, pull over. There's a person standing there.
No, it's not.
And sure enough, this giant sighting was quickly debunked, as Charlie showed at his stream.
Someone went on like Google Earth. They went over that mountain. It turns out it's just a tower. It's just legitimately just a tower. Obfuscate. But this is what's on the other side.
There's a person standing there.
No, it's not.
Dude, if you've seen what I've seen right now.
However, this logical explanation didn't stop the conspiracy theorists from continuing to believe that the video contained a legitimate giant. Instead, they questioned how this so-called proof was even possible in the first place.
So, what they're saying is they must have built the tower after this video came out in order to hide the truth that there was a giant there. I shit you not. That was their explanation for it being a tower over there. They said that they made it. They put that tower in place in order to obfuscate.
The man who recorded and posted this video was Andrew Dawson, who lived in British Columbia, Canada. Shortly after posting the quote-unquote giant proof, he posted a video statement. His awkward stance and occasional stares to the side fueled the conspiracy theories further, with many thinking that this video was proof that he was already captured and was forced to release such a video. He's always looking at the corner every 5 seconds. It looks like something or someone is threatening him. Why did he stop talking and look at the side? However, Charlie saw right through this and described the stunt as him leaning into the conspiracy.
So after he got that video, he made this video, where he leaned into it, exactly what I said I would do in order to farm.
Sorry to disappoint you guys, but all of the videos that I posted were strictly just fake. They're just strictly for it.
So, leaned into it. He made this video like, it's all fake, you know, this and that, and he made it look like he was under duress. So people are like, clearly the CIA got to him, they're making him say these things. He did every single thing I said I would do with my farming of these fucking idiots. And they believe him fully. They believe he found a giant up here. And then the government killed him. It's so good.
Andrew also published videos of him allegedly being stalked by a mystery car, but Charlie quickly pushed back, showing how easy it would be to fake.
I think that's the same vehicle from... Hey!
Now let's break down this little humdinger here. People use this video as proof that the CIA was hunting him down and stalking him because he made this video, he's very clearly leaning into it if you ask me. But let's do a basic thought experiment here. How likely is it that this is staged? Very. It got millions of views, so there's real incentive to play on it. How easy would it be to fake? Extremely. All you need is your friend to sit in a car outside and then drive away when you come out and yell at them. Like, just look at the video. There's just a random car out there with their lights on. So if they're stalking, they're doing a terrible job. They're just sitting right in plain view outside of his house with their lights on. That'd be the worst tale ever. They would be fired from the CIA immediately because they're fucking terrible at their job. Like, at that point, the CIA might as well have a sign out there saying, "We're watching you. Honk if you like government surveillance." Like, this would be genuinely the worst stalking ever from the CIA. And then the guy comes outside and scares the car away like a flock of pigeons on the beach. It's an extremely easy thing to stage. Where's the proof that that is some kind of unmarked CIA vehicle and an operative in there stalking him? I think this is so clearly staged in order to play off of the success of the giant video.
Now, the final lid on this conspiracy came from the fact that Andrew, the man who originally recorded the video, died within months. But Charlie remained firm in his stance that attributing his death to the CIA was nonsense.
Now, looking into it, there was an obituary posted for this individual from a local news source. So it is possible that he did pass away in early 2022, but people are attributing that to a mysterious circumstance and it being the CIA that took him out, like it was fucking Jack Bauer on a vendetta to kill this man because he had seen a giant. Why? Well, I don't know. that's not a question that ever gets asked in these situations. Just going through any natural thought process here and breaking it down, what would the government have to gain from hiding giants? Unless they have some kind of secret alliance with the giant tribe, there's just absolutely no reason they'd want to shut this shit down, put the kibosh on it. Or unless if you look at a giant in the eyes, it gives you eternal life or something, and the government's hoarding that to themselves, or their urine acts like the fountain of youth. Just nothing adds up here when you start connecting. When it comes to giants, that'd be the hardest thing in the world to keep the lid on. Like, the cat would get out of the bag so quickly, because it's a fucking giant. They're huge. They're enormous. This one, assuming patient zero here was truly a giant, this one was spotted on top of a mountain fucking 40 miles away. So you'd have a real tough time. You'd have your work cut out for you to keep that under doors. So it is very possible he did pass away. But I will tell you right now, I highly, highly, highly doubt the government had anything to do with that. Because, again, there's no such thing as fucking giants out there. Sorry to ruin Christmas, but it's the truth. It's a tough pill to swallow, but one you've got to grow up and take right.
But at the very least, believing giants exist is relatively harmless. Unlike the dangerous conspiracy that literally led to arson, that 5G was causing the coronavirus.
That is 5G causing the coronavirus. A month ago, this was a fucking joke across the entire internet. But now, in the last month, everyone's quarantined, locked down, desperate, bored, and I think they're getting fucking dumber. Because there's so many people that are now unironically believing 5G is the cause of coronavirus that I actually can't believe it. These same people probably believe chocolate milk comes from brown cows. It takes mere minutes of research outside of Facebook anti-vax groups, actual scientific research. It takes only minutes to immediately disprove that and find there's no connection between 5G towers and coronavirus. That shouldn't be shocking to the majority of people, but to some people, I'm speaking blasphemy.
Despite how dumb this conspiracy sounds, it was actually huge and threatening at the time, leading even top organizations like the National Institute of Health and Science Direct to directly debunk it for public peace of mind. And this conspiracy was not just about the spread of misinformation. At its peak, these conspiracy theorists burned 5G towers, claiming a link to the virus. At one point, across Britain alone, more than 30 acts of arson and vandalism took place against wireless towers and other telecom gear within a single month. And telecom engineers were getting murder threats from people who believed that they were working on 5G. Charlie discussed how this entire conspiracy started in the first place and couldn't help but keep echoing how ridiculous this was, especially since it literally contradicts itself.
We'll start with the origin of this conspiracy, at least in regards to coronavirus. In China, Wuhan, a 5G tower was rolled out at the end of 2019, so just a little bit before coronavirus broke out, and people are attributing the tower as the cause. That is ground zero of coronavirus. The tower caused it. That's pretty much where that logic ends. And then as it spread to the United States, they're saying the 5G towers are the cause of coronavirus in the US. Not because it's contagious through, spreading and being around people, but because the towers themselves are emitting too much radiation and it's causing the coronavirus. And the coronavirus itself isn't even real. It's a made-up hoax to cover for radiation poisoning. I've spent a few hours researching the conspiracy theory and looking around what everyone says on Twitter in these circles that truly believe this stuff, and they seem to all agree that coronavirus itself isn't real. What it is just radiation sickness, because the symptoms of radiation sickness are similar to those that are being reported with coronavirus. So that's basically the whole conspiracy in a nutshell. And it is fucking ridiculous. So 5G towers have existed in the US since early 2019. While the idea of 5G has existed much longer, and most people seem to think we've had 5G for longer, we really didn't start getting 5G until early 2019 with actual towers and everything being built around the US. Those aren't make-believe. That's not like Tooth Fairy shit, it's real. You can go see those 5G towers in the real world, in person. It's not smoke and mirrors, no magic tricks. That shit is there, and it has been there since 2019. There were no cases of coronavirus in the US throughout all of 2019, and there were no cases of coronavirus in the US until the China incident where coronavirus started to explode. And then, you know how the story goes from there, it spread throughout the entire world. But they seem to think that it's not actually spreading from human to human contact, it's being transmitted via the beams from the towers of 5G. That seems to be their accepted belief. I'm gonna immediately poke a hole in that. Israel has 7,400 cases of coronavirus with 39. Israel has no 5G towers. None. So how the fuck can that happen by this logic? Some enlightened Twitter users will be quick to point out that the radiation sickness was transferred. Someone who was infected by a tower in the US or some other part of the world traveled to Israel and started spreading it that way. Well, that's impossible via your radiation sickness hypothesis because radiation sickness isn't contagious. You watched Chernobyl on HBO and you think you understand everything there is to know about.
One commenter wrote, "This conspiracy theory has so many holes, it triggers my trypophobia." And another expressed how done he was with these kinds of conspiracies, writing, "People who are afraid of technology should not have access to the internet." Now, to be fair, Charlie did cover how there were definitely concerns about possible effects of 5G on our health, but none of these health concerns had anything to do with COVID-19. Rather, they focused on brain function, thermoregulation, and oxidative stress. Now, as Charlie mentioned, 5G has long been a target of conspiracies, but this coronavirus connection in particular was so far-fetched, as there was simply no logical way for anyone to even remotely link a respiratory viral disease with wireless technology.
5G is this ultimate boogeyman, like this final boss that's holding back the human species. Like, 5G is the one that's keeping us from growing wings and opening our third eye. It's weird. I don't know why everyone's latched on to 5G as this mega evil mastermind shit, but they have. But in regards to coronavirus, which is all I want to focus on, there is absolutely no possible way that 5G has caused coronavirus. You can just look at data, like real time, because it's only been a couple of months. You can see that 5G had no role to play. You can pretty much trace where coronavirus started in each area that it's in. It's right there at your fucking fingertips. You only need to look for a second in real, actual fucking sources outside of bad Twitter shitposts, anti-vax Facebook soccer mom groups. Just do real fucking research and form your own opinions. But this one is very silly, and lighting 5G cell phone towers on fire isn't doing anyone any good. You're causing more damage with the chemicals you put into the air from fucking burning that thing than the 5G arrays, the beams. But I just wanted to talk about it because it's got me fucking fired up because this shit is just wacky. This isn't the same kind of fun to laugh at conspiracy theory like flat earth and all that. This one has people believing it's fine for them to go outside and just spread fucking shit all over the place, especially in a time of pandemic like this because they're convinced they know the truth that it's the cell phone towers, not coronavirus, so that it has them hurting everyone around them.
That's it for this compilation. If you want to see a more riled up Charlie, check out this video to Penguinz0 reacting to some of the worst Karens online.